Hello, fellow travelers. Under the watchful gaze of crows perched high above, we embark on a journey etched in shadow and ink, and guided only by the trembling needle of a compass that defies reason. Take a deep breath as we unravel the unknown.
Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be going over another fan work, but this time a comic series called My Hero Academia 10B, created by Mariboops. Now this can be found on Webtoons. I'll leave a link down in the description below and even in the comment section as well, so please do go check out the original works. And as some of you have known, I do indeed love reading fan works. I do love watching stuff that I am a fan of myself. I remember B-10 growing up. I also have watched My Hero Academia, and so it was interesting for me to see the combination of the two. And I gotta say, this does take its own route. This is very different, this is very unique, and it was enough to me to make a video because it really did catch my eye overall. It went into depth of its own lore and respecting the characters from the original works. So with all that being said, let's talk about it, shall we? But before that, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. Like I said before, I'll leave a link to the original works in the comment section and in the description. So please do go check it out, show the original creator some love, and with all that being said, let's get started, shall we? The story of My Hero Academia 10B revolves around Izuku Tennyson. Izuku has the ability of 10 different creatures, all above human knowledge, or understanding. And a lot like their original works, like Ben Tennyson himself, he has a penchant to want to help. And just like Izuku Midoriya, he knows the laws of this world, knowing that he can't actually fight any crimes, but he knows that he can be a civilian, or a good Samaritan if you will. So he spends the majority of the series trying to help others without actually trying to fight. This consists of small rescues, this consists of helping, lifting things, absorbing fires, and so on and so forth. This keeps him in the good graces of the modern law, but does keep him on a tighter leash than he would in the original B-10 series. I love those little nuances they have for both the worlds, both B-10 and both My Hero Academia, because this is adding details that we never really think about while watching the series, and even adding details from other works such as My Hero Academia Vigilante. Certain twists that I did see coming in were very interesting, like most of the aliens or creatures that Izuku turns into, such as Formite or even Accelerate in this universe, are stronger and faster than most of the heroes in this universe as well. But the most interesting parts were the things I didn't expect, much as we see with Eri or Ari in this one, becoming more of Izuku's little sister, or how Izuku is homeless in this scenario, mainly because of an event that happened in his home that he really doesn't want to talk about, but we can pretty much assume that maybe it's the similar thing with the B-10 original series. Something to do with Heat Blast in the original, but here it's called Tokyo Demon, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Even the idea of bigger plot lines in the original My Hero Academia suddenly becoming smaller, mainly due to the interference of Izuku in the original years, is also very fun and interesting to think about as well. Such as Overhaul's story being pretty much non-existent anymore, and Muscular becoming pretty much just a side character. So this is adding elements that do make sense to the Ben-10 universe, and what would really happen if you suddenly brought it into the My Hero Academia universe as well. And where we are in the story, we haven't even gotten to the entrance exam. We are barely getting that in the last chapter. So I do think that is a very good move. This way we can understand the world, the characters, and even those around him in a better sense. This is focusing mostly on world building and the characters around them. And even making the Zombozos a natural family in this universe, and not only that, becoming the close personal friends of Izuku is itself an ingenious move in this matter. And even so much as bringing in both Charmcasters from the original story and even in the reboot was a very smart move, and making them sisters was just icing on the cake if you will. Now if you're wondering why I haven't really talked much about the story, and that's mainly because this is what the story is about. Mainly world building, understanding Izuku who he is, and how he's going to become a student at UA, and probably one of the best students in history. Because at this point, the characters, the storyline, have created a world of their own, a life of their own. So it's not exactly a complete replica, but rather a true to form alternative universe. even down to how the aliens or creatures are depicted themselves, which I will talk about right now. Now, in the traditional B-10 universe, the aliens were just that, representations of different creatures or aliens throughout the galaxy, not really having their own personalities, but just being an extension of Ben himself. In this version, we get more of a defining characteristic for each one kind of having their own dislikes, thoughts, processes, and emotions, even some of them having their own accents, if you will. And to top it off, they have their own looks and different names than they did in the original B-10 series. Heat Blast became the Tokyo Devil, which seems to be more of a Japanese punk kind of character. We got Ghost Freak becoming Eidolon, which is a smaller version of the original, but still meaning well. We got Ripjaws becoming Poseidon, King of the Ocean, giving him much more of a Greek accent and kind of going more with that kind of godlike appearance. We have Upgrade becoming Screwloose, mainly because he's not that smart, which is very ironic for his abilities of upgrading different objects or machinery and having a bit of a Cockney accent. We then have Microchip in the form of Grey Matter, who is still pretty much the same but ruder with a more hard-headed look on the world. We also have Bulldog, not much you can do with Wild Mutt in this scenario, just changing his name to Bulldog, trying to make him more of a friendly, puppy-like creature. We then have Cicada in place of Stinkfly. Not much to go off of him, but he does seem a little more shyer and wants to stay away from the crowds altogether. We have Gem Compost, which is our version of Diamond Head, given a Russian accent and much more of a stronger personality in both physical and mental sense. Next we have Blue Ferrari, our raptor dinosaur speedster, taking place of Accelerate. And last but certainly not least, we have Four Might. 4 arms but with an All Might twist, because in this universe, Deku is still a huge fan of All Might himself, so naturally his strongest alien or creature would be based off All Might. As I said, the newer designs and the different looks and personalities we get from the aliens is very different from what we got from the original B-10 series. That might be in the introduction of Izuku's overthinking concept, but overall it does fit and adds an interesting take to the already classic storyline we know. When it comes to the supporting cast, there is no shortage of it in this series. Our main one that does help Izuku a lot and is a very beloved character is of course Eri, or in this universe called Ari mainly because she wants to avoid Overhaul and the Yakuza. Now, in this universe he did save her early on in her storyline, avoiding her from being captured and used by the Yakuza herself, and has become more of a little sister character to him. And as some may note, that she does have more of an appearance that relates to Gaogura if you are a VTuber fan. At this moment we don't really have much on her abilities or what she is capable of in the series, but at this time I really don't feel that matters. It could come into play later on, but I do feel that it is a much more interesting story to build on her character and somewhat making her a driving force for Izuku and Midnight at the very end. Plus, overall she has become a fan favorite character amongst the readers of the series. Our secondary important character would have to be Midnight herself, the 18+ hero. And while she was an important character in the original My Hero Academia series, here she takes on a more prominent role for Izuku and Ari, becoming something more than just a mentor, becoming an adopted parent. Because like I said, Izuku has not said what's happened to his parents, and we do know that something terrible did happen to Ari's, so right now they've just been living on the streets. But Midnight, seeing the real potential in Izuku and even caring for Ari in a certain sense, has decided to adopt them both in the storyline and train them to become the next big heroes, or Izuku at least. She even says she feels a strange connection with Izuku mainly because she understands that when he transforms and when these creatures do come out, they aren't exactly the most heroic looking bunch. They are hideous and or scary looking, and she understands that it's rough being judged by one's appearance despite being able to do the most good you can. So with all that being said, she takes them in and becomes mentor and mother to both. Next we have those that were introduced in Chapter 3, that being the Khan family. But the ones we'll focus on right now are going to be the main ones in Izuku's life for the most of the storyline. That being Raiko Khan and Kuriro Khan. Raiko in this universe is supposed to be the original Charmcaster. Well, original in the sense that she was the rebooted version of Charmcaster. But in this universe she becomes a close friend and confidant to Izuku, being able to match his wanting to make notes and to improve his superhero abilities. But for a majority of her storyline, she just really wanted to see Ghost Freak, or Eidolon. Kurio himself is a bit of a troublemaker and has become a good friend of Izuku as well. Much more of a training partner than anything else, he seems to respect and admire Izuku as well, and takes on Ari as kind of his sidekick in causing as much trouble as they can. For right now, those will be the ones that I'll focus on for the side characters that do have a bigger impact on the overall story, and mainly because they will make appearances later on down the line. But not only that, how much of a difference they are compared to their original versions, in both the series that they represent and what they are now. Becoming best friends with B-10 was not in Charmcaster's original goal, and even becoming the adopted mom was not Midnight's role for Midoriya either. So it is interesting to see these takes become something more than just jokes, become more of a plot point, and even forming the storyline around them. The artwork here is very good. I really do enjoy it myself and find it very interesting, mainly because it is a unique blend of familiar and different. It's familiar in the sense that the artwork matches what we know of the original storylines, the original characters of B-10 and My Hero Academia, but it's not the same art style in the slightest. I mean, it is, but you can definitely tell it has its own unique take on it. Like, you can tell the characters, you can tell what they're on, and you can tell what and where this is all happening. But at the same time, you can say that this is not a just cut and paste kind of work. You can almost feel like every panel was drawn by hand, that it had some sort of level of attention to it, which I myself really love and do appreciate. But more than anything, what really catches the eye is the colors. The colors are so vibrant, so different from what we're used to with different kinds of works like this. And the eye for detail is something that has to be taken note of, especially when you look at Izuku Midoriya's or Izuku Tennyson's storyline. Whenever he talks or is in the middle of explaining something, whenever his watch has gone off or run out of energy, you can see that his lines or the words that he speaks turn from red to green slowly, signifying that his watch has gone from depleted to suddenly fully charged. Now that's an added detail that really does need to be added, but the fact that it is very telling and very interesting and very fun on the creator side. When it comes down to references, we could name them all day long, but there's so many here that are in reference to Cartoon Network mostly. Like, we see Gumball make an appearance, we do see a lot of in-jokes here and there. We do see a lot of costumes of the original Ben 10 series making an appearance. Like, it's just going to show that these creatures that we see in Cartoon Network, the Gumballs, the cat creatures, the different kinds of things, all kind of make sense in the world of My Hero Academia as just being a type of quirk or a certain type of mutation. So it is fun to add in there. I'm not going to list them all, of course, but go ahead, take a look, see what you can name. If you can know a few that I didn't list off, please leave it down in the comment section. I'd love to hear the smaller hints here and there. Like, what's the part with Izuku looking like Ed from Ed and Eddie? It's pretty funny too. And if you go back to the beach scene that we see during the Poseidon chapter, we do see a lot of background characters as well from the Cartoon Network era too. So, with all that being said, I gotta say, I really do enjoy the series. I'm gonna keep reading. As I said, I suggest if you want to check it out, go check it out. I'll leave a link down below in the comment section and of course in the description as well. We are fairly 40 chapters, maybe 45 in. We are starting the next saga in the storyline where we are getting to UA at this point. So it'll be interesting to see where we are in the main story of My Hero Academia, but with the abilities of Ben 10. And how much of a role Midnight will take as a teacher, and if Erigura will become a student in a preschool kind of section as well. It'll be funny to see Ida becoming more of a rival for Izuku as well, mainly because Blue Ferrari did outrun his older brother, who he had always assumed in the main series is a little faster than him. But for now, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. I will be getting to more independent stuff in the future. I just haven't had the time due to my own personal effects. But I do have a lot of stuff that I do want to get to in the coming weeks. So please do keep an eye out for that. Again, if you have your own opinions or webtoons or series that you want me to check out, please leave it down in the comment section. I'd love to get to it as soon as I can. So, like I said, thanks again for watching. Hope you all have a great day. And see you next time.